hurry!
Welcome to MomCave Live, where we may have lost our minds, but we haven't lost our senses of humor. I'm Jen from MomCave, and my guest this week is Tiffany Hamilton, who I'm going to call a mompreneur. Is that how you would pronounce it? A mompreneur. Yes. She is the founder, CEO of Activewear, and it's an amazing company. We're going to talk all about her mission and why it's important. Welcome, Tiffany.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Thanks for being here and dealing with all of our technical issues that we always seem to have.
No worries.
No worries. Tiffany, can you tell everybody how the idea of your company came about?
Yes. So I'm actually the co-founder. My son is actually a founder. He is 15. He has high functioning autism. And this is an idea that we've had for a while. He's very artistic. So originally we were thinking, we should do t-shirts with your art. And he's kind of grown out of that. And the idea has more so evolved to inspirational activewear. So it's something we've been planning for a while, and we just decided to just do it and launch in April. But the whole idea now is around empowering people with disabilities and really creating economic opportunities. Like I mentioned, my son, 15, he'll actually be 16 very soon, next week. And yeah, so, getting very close to the working world, and I want to create opportunities for him and for people like him, because the unemployment rate in the disability community is really staggering. Like there's 85% of people with developmental disabilities are unemployed. And I don't want that to be my son. That shouldn't be anyone. It infuriates me. So this company is a way of creating opportunities. We want to build it and become a major employer of people with disabilities. And also the other part of it is really around inspiring triumph over obstacles. And that's really, we call them like fellow victors. We define victors as people who overcome obstacles through grit and determination. And that's been so much of our journey together.
Yeah. That's great. Well, for any 15-year-old to be the co-founder of a business is huge. But
he's amazing.
Him to do this and have the challenge of autism, that is awesome. So when you talk to other employers who are considering having more people with disabilities working for them, how do you make them see that it's to their benefit? That they're not just doing a kind deed. It's good for their business.
Absolutely. So I would say, in a lot of ways, like Activewear, that's what we're trying to show, like the extraordinary things that differently abled people can do. And so, an example, Isaiah, my baby, he'll always be my baby. Yes, but he's a coder, he can sing, he's a voice actor, he's a swimming champion. I mean, these are like, I can't do, any of those things. And just, there study after study, and I don't have those studies in front of me, but just Google.
But they exist, and you can get
absolutely.
You can get
Google is your best friend. But so many studies show like the value of a diverse workforce, whether it's diverse in terms of abilities, in terms of race, socioeconomic status. Everyone brings value. Everyone brings a different perspective, and together, that perspective is so much more powerful in terms of like what you can contribute to the world than, like a homogeneous mindset. So there are so many benefits. And at this time now, like, great resignation, where so many companies need, people
for employees. Yeah,
absolutely. And you have this whole segment of the population willing and able to work and capable of extraordinary things. Hire them. Like, hire folks.
Yeah. Well, I have a few autistic people in my life, and I used to volunteer at a school with autistic children. And so a lot of the challenges that we had, of course, was when they would get overloaded or overstimulated, and they would have outbursts. So how does an employer learn to sort of manage that in the workplace?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, is there an organization they can go to? Are there guidelines? How do they work with that?
So many autism organizations. The key thing about autism is that it's different for every single individual. And I think that is where it gets tricky. Like, folks don't like the nuance, but
right. Everybody just wants do X, Y, Z. And
exactly. And there's no sort of formula for autism. So, and what you described as kind of like sensory overload, dealt with it a million times with my son. So there are a couple of things. There are like government organizations that provide like job coaches for people on the spectrum. There are like early intervention programs that can provide like guidance on dealing with challenges around autism. So there are so many supports that are available, many that are free. Just Google your local nonprofit, county government that can provide that kind of assistance. And when it comes to employment, I would say, employers have to be very invested in making it work. And you have to do the work to understand, particularly with autism, that it's a spectrum, it's a wide spectrum, and understand what that means, and then understand how to provide support across, the spectrum, and reach out to available resources, make that investment to make it work.
Yeah, totally. And it's like all people are so very different.
Right.
Any employees that you have will have different challenges. And I think some people get a little scared away by just a label instead of realizing that, you may have an employee who is, I don't know who's not neurodivergent or not developmentally disabled that has challenges as well. And then you may have someone who's developmentally disabled who has these amazing gifts that you wouldn't have had in your business.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we're all figuring it all out as we go along, just like motherhood, right, Tiffany?
Oh, yeah. And I'm telling you, like the learning never ends. It's like each stage of my son's life has been, I've been learning, like even now, like this new venture into adulthood and the working world. Like I'm very much learning and trying, in a small way to make the world a little better and more inclusive for him.
And you're taking this on as the mom, as moms do. Whatever our kids need, we somehow find a way. If we don't know something, we have to learn about it.
We'll figure it out. Yes.
Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, would you share with me a little bit, like when you first started learning about autism, what kind of things were good supports or resources for you as a mom?
You know what? Like the first thing that comes to mind, I think, is the classic. I think it was the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. Or if it wasn't that book, it was some kind of, I was, reading about, of course, pregnancy, and then beyond that, just like, raising your child through age 5. Right. And so reading about the different milestones really helped. And I was still home with Isaiah, helped me to see like, oh, okay, like he's a little late with this and he's not quite doing this. And it really made me, start asking questions. So a lot of that, like very basic, like developmental whether it's like a developmental handout or, a book that you have can really help you to flag different things. And, those are things like I mentioned to my pediatrician and he wasn't, very concerned. I had to like be very pushy about it. And finally get him a Isaiah developmental evaluation at 12 months, which indicated delays. And then from there, in terms of helpful resources, I was referred to the county, which had an early intervention program. And it was Easter Seals was the organization that offered. So it was free therapy.
Wonderful.
Through age 5. And that was everything. I mean, that changed his life.
That's great.
And it makes such a difference to get that intervention at an early age because, the brain is still developing and particularly as it relates to speech, like getting that intervention can make such a difference.
Yeah. So you found this amazing resource for, there goes my earbuds. Want to be able to hear your answers. Okay. So you found this amazing resource through Easter Seals for free therapy for your son. But what about you as a mama? How, I wish you had some free therapy. Who did you rely upon for support? And it's, you have to take care of yourself too when you're going through this. So was there anything in particularly helpful for you?
It was really hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. And I would say, at that time, when Isaiah, was under 5, I was going through separation and divorce and everything. So, I had that going on, but then just all these like developmental things with Isaiah. And keep him like I didn't get him diagnosed until he was 8, although I was treating it like autism all along. So I would say like at that time, I really wasn't, I did some counseling like on and off, just dealing with the stress.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was so hyper focused on Isaiah and looking back. I mean, yes, I should have been focused, but I very much like neglected myself. And so, that's one of the things I learned as a mom.
Yeah.
That I feel like the key to life is like moderation and balance. And I'm still not the expert. But I have learned that when I like fill myself up now, like whether it's taking a walk or meditating or I don't know, a good cry when I need to, like that makes me better, like as a mom, as an employee, as a partner. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have the answers. That's the whole point of MomCave. We're just here to be like, it's hard. We can laugh. Laughing helps a lot.
Yeah, it really does.
Accepting and being there.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit more about the products that you sell, AiryTV.
Oh, sure. So we sell, it's inspirational activewear. So a lot of our products have variations of our very cool logo. It's a V and a W that kind of looks like a flame, which you can see here.
Yeah. It's kind of like a superhero logo.
Yeah. People say that kind of like, I feel like a warrior. But also inspirational slogans. So if you look on victorwear.com, you'll see like a range of slogans. Be all in, go all out. That's our best seller right now. Our tagline rides above it. But we're all about that, like inspiring triumph over obstacles. And really celebrating and amplifying the stories. So beyond, empowering the differently abled community, we want to celebrate victors, like ordinary people doing extraordinary things, whether it's teachers, nurses. We have Memorial Day coming up. We'll have a new, T-shirt celebrating that. So it's just about positive, like resilience.
Yeah. That's great. And do you have sizes for kids and adults? What's the sizing like?
Yes. So right now we only have sizes for adults. A lot of our products are a lot of our customers are mothers, but
Because we wear
very
active
soon.
wear even when we're not actually being
Oh,
active.
absolutely. Yes. Yes. It's all about comfort.
Yeah.
But very soon we are launching Victor Kids. So stay tuned for
Cool.
that.
Oh, awesome. And here, I'm going to do my little graphic. 10% of every product sold goes to the Special Olympics in Virginia.
Yes, yes. We are so proud to be a partner. I love Special Olympics. My son is a Special Olympics athlete. He'll be in the swimming championship, so love
Ooh.
everything they do and so proud to support.
It's a great organization. So
It
see,
is.
if you ever need a reason to spend money, it's always good to be like, 10% of this is going to the Special Olympics. I can buy all the stuff I want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All the
Yes.
active wear that I'm not going to be active in, and just wear to actually pick my kids up from school. So it's such a great important mission. Is there anything that you just want to get out there in the world? If people had to remember one thing about people with developmental disabilities in the workforce, what would you say?
I would say that people with developmental disabilities are amazing. And, I think as humans, we kind of tend to gravitate towards like similarity, like we can be kind of tribal. And as I think it's a human challenge to embrace, just to embrace like all of humanity, all, abilities and colors and, just all of humanity. So I would say, hire people with developmental disabilities. They're amazing. They are willing and able to work. And let's put them to work.
Definitely. I just thought of another good question. I don't know if you know the answer, but if someone is watching this and they are an employer, they have a business of some kind, and this message resonates with them, like where would they start? Is there a place to go?
To go to hire?
Yeah.
So I would say a couple of things. They can start with a lot of employers these days have like employee resource groups, ERGs. So that's a place to start. Just looking at your people, like who do you have, and starting groups within your organization to that can be supportive.
That's a good idea.
And just looking like, if you look at your employees and they all kind of look the same, that's something because it's also about creating an environment where people with developmental disabilities can thrive. So it's not if you putting them like in an environment where like they're feel like the only one or not supported, like they're not. That's part of being successful. I would say the other thing, the ARC is a great organization. They have a lot of great, yes, the ARC. It's a national organization. They have a lot of employment programs. That would be one to connect with, and they could certainly like refer you to resources that could help make you successful in hiring differently able people.
Awesome. Okay. Well, check out victorwear.com, and 10% goes to Special Olympics in Virginia. And then go follow Tiffany on all the places. Tiffany, what are your social media handles?
Yes, thank you. So we're on Facebook and Instagram at Victorwear Global, and also LinkedIn at Victorwear.
Awesome. So if you want some amazing, fun activewear to do good with 10% of your profits, and to learn more about employing teenagers and adults with developmental disabilities and autism, go visit Victorwear. And thank you for being here, Tiffany.
Thank you so much.